Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Consider product placement with Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to discover digital products to 10x your business. Contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Today we welcome Candice Montgomery, who has been an entrepreneur and business owner for 20 plus years. Realizing it was time to take her passion for helping others and creating small businesses, she decided to combine the two. Candice now teaches women who have their own dream of starting a business the basics to make it through the first few years. She is passionate about teaching others, budgeting, and creating a minimalist life. Candice has a passion for what she does and loves to go to work every day. Welcome, Candice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. Wow, 20 years?
Yes, I have, this is my third business. So my first one with my husband is we've had for 26 years. And then I have a second one that I've had for 20. And then this is my new one is teaching.
Okay. Well, this is definitely a topic in demand because running a business is a difficult thing. It is a mindset situation, I believe, because if you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, then you won't. So let's talk about what you provide women to help them get in the mindset of it all.
Well, whenever I was 22, that's when we started our first business, and no one was around to help and Google wasn't around to help. So everything was just trying to find someone that could guide me, and I really didn't have that. So a lot of it was done on my own. And so that's why I want to help, is to make sure that women that are starting, they know that they have somebody that can help them, they can answer their questions, can be their cheerleader and be their motivator for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because that's important. Now, how do you help them? Because, I mean, your mind has to be in the game. There is no every 2-week paycheck. There is no once a month paycheck sometimes. There's a lot of seed cultivating. And sometimes you just don't see the money right. Most of the time, you don't see the money right away.
Right, exactly. So I believe in God, and I believe in the power of prayer. So that's what helps me through a lot of it, and helps me to guide women that are looking forward to starting a business, and let them know that you have to keep trying. You can't stop. Like my favorite quote from Yoda is like, there's a do, there's no try. So I love to just teach them that, or let them know that it's okay. We're going to fail, but we're not a failure. We're just going to keep moving, and we're going to keep moving forward.
Yes, I agree with you 100%, because I know some days, you know how it goes. Some days you're on top of the world, other days the world is on top of you. And it happens quite a bit when you're in a business, because it is a struggle. It really is a struggle, and it's really, getting, believing that what you have is worthy,
Right.
And also, doing the work, because you got to do the work. You have a business, people need to know what you're doing.
Right. That's exactly.
So what are some of the techniques and things that you teach the ladies in terms of, getting started and staying in the game?
So really what my course centers around is the basics to start. Like, a lot of people don't realize they need to have a business checking account when they start. They don't know they need to keep their business and their personal assets and stuff separately. So it's about finding the proper business structure for what you want to do. It's guiding them to find the correct CPA, someone that's going to teach them, that's going to be the heart of a teacher and not just do things without explaining to them so that they can learn how. Networking with local chambers, local networking groups to give them the support that they need in helping them grow their business and teaching them how to kind of get out there and network.
So those are all the points, but I'm curious about creating, you say that you help people to create a personal and business budget.
Yes, so we spent the last 7 years becoming debt-free. And so it's really important to me to teach that, because so many are not taught budgeting in school. We're not taught money finance in school or at home. So that's been the basics of learning that, is to teach women that, okay, first we got to create a budget. We need to look at what we're going to have coming in. And we're going to have to make assumptions for that because we don't know yet. So we need to make a plan, and then to really document everything that you're going to be doing so that you know what expenses you have, and then creating that budget. The budget that works for me is like a zero-based budget. So it's not that you have $0, but it's that you give every dollar a job to do. And in the beginning, I didn't have that. I didn't have that at all. And it took us years and years and years to figure that out. So that's what I hope to fast track, that I help women to get further along much quicker than what it's taken me to do. So,
yeah.
So what is a zero-based budget? Because you said you're talking about personal and you're talking about business. So how do you do that in your personal budget? And then can you explain how you do that in the business budget?
So in the personal budget, you just want to start with so if I'm gonna guess that someone may be working a full-time job outside and they're gonna start a side hustle. So they put their amount that they're going to be bringing in. So we'll just say $5,000. They bring that in, and then they list everything from their giving to their saving to their monthly bills that they have, all the way down. And then every dollar goes to something in that budget line. And if you have money left over, then you need to apply that to somewhere else, meaning a savings, some kind of fund to prepare you to go purchase equipment or something like that, or a car. And I do the same in our business budget. It's a little bit different because each one of our companies just handles things a little bit differently, but we try to do a quarterly budget, and then work backwards and do a monthly budget from there.
Okay. Now on the business side, what does that budget typically look like? Getting started.
Yeah, so getting started, you want to think about the things that you're going to be doing. So are you going to be making a product? Then you need to take into account the products, the pieces that you need to build that product. So where are you going to get that from? Who are you going to source that from? And then you want to you have to list all of those things out. You also need to think about your advertising and who you're talking to as far as your client goes. So you have to think about how much money you want to apply to that. And in the beginning, we didn't have that. We just did it as we went and just kind of built it that way. So that's what I hope that it's it's helpful to do that so that they can get a head start, like planning for taxes and those kind of things, because that's just not something that we know about.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you touched bases on that because, in terms of the business, I'm debt free.
Mhm.
I pay cash for everything.
Yes.
I have no loans or anything. And it gets a little rough, especially when there's no money coming in, but I still have these monthly bills to pay.
Right.
But at the same time, I need these things to be able to just be there to collect a dollar, so to speak.
Right.
I have to have these things in place in order to collect a dollar. So in situations like that, especially when you are waiting to get paid, 9 times out of 10, people are working, taking money from their job. So what are some of the ways that you talk to your people about, fueling their business? Because you're going to have business expenses. You cannot get around it.
Right, exactly. You just have to try to minimize as much as you can, really think smart, and have an accountability partner to help you with, do I really need this thing right now? Or can this wait for 6 months and I can save for it? Because, in the beginning, that was, I worked full time, and then we started part time. My husband worked full time, and then he went to part time, and then he went full time in our business. So, and then I left our business. So then it became, okay, well, now we got to support ourselves, and there's nobody else to support us. So it's definitely being strict with yourself and being disciplined, and can't think of the other word I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, but you want to be honest with yourself, and you want someone, an accountability partner that's going to be honest with you as well, that says, hey, you know what? I think you don't need that printer right now. I think you need this right now. But I really want that. So sometimes you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear a lot of times in business.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned that you have a course.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the course and how people can connect to it.
So my course, like I said before, is business basics. So it's helping them get set up with their banks, their CPAs. It's telling them about the business structure. It's also teaching them about the taxes. If you're going to be doing, sales tax, if it's something that's going to be a retail product that you have to charge tax on, how to get in contact with the appropriate government entity that needs to help with the sales tax, whether it's the Secretary of State or the Commerce Division. Some of them are different. And finding out about their licenses and permits that they need to have. Is there anything they need to have about that? Insurance, as far as they don't know that you need to have different types of insurance for different things. So, if you're renting a space or if you're doing it out of your home. And I don't offer tax advice because I'm not a CPA, but I give them things to kind of check into. So, hey, I'm going to be using my office. Can I use that as a deduction? Or I'm going to be doing this. Does this apply? But to help them kind of get going that way, not really about the heavy duty marketing or advertising, anything like that. That is not, it's just really, really, really the basics, like 101 of what you need to get going. It touches on a little bit of everything, but it's really all the things that, like I said, I didn't know whenever I started, and I figured it out, but I find that there's a lot of people that don't know that. I'm in a few Facebook groups, and I see that, and I see the questions coming through, and I'm like, gosh, that's something that I just, figured out, because we didn't have Facebook back then either. So
Right.
You're right on target, because a lot of people want a business, but they don't really know how to get started. there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes you can glean from it, what you need. But then again, sometimes it's nice to have someone just give the basics,
Right.
the first few simple steps that you need. And I really was wondering, there's something that's also that I'm seeing in your notes, so to speak, in your bio. And you're talking about, the business basics, starting a business, creating a personal and business budget, but you're also talking about starting a minimalist life. How does that fit in to your course?
I think it's just the way I am now. I went through a traumatic event, and so it helped me to see that I needed to do minimalism. And that was the first thing I did, is I just I started getting rid of everything. So the point of that is just to have people kind of consider that, okay, let's think about how we can do this minimally and not have all these extra things that we need. We don't need to go buy a whole bunch of office supplies, and we don't need to go buy, a whole bunch of this or that, and try to do that minimally. And then going forward, also kind of paying attention to that, like digital paperwork, digital filing rather than a filing cabinet, or, how to properly search things that you're looking for, where I know that kind of doesn't, I don't know, that kind of makes sense, but whenever you're, trying to put your things together, you want to, keep it as simple as possible.
I can appreciate that. And I think that's a really good point for anyone who's going to start a business or is in the middle of their business. We're talking about being a minimalist, which is something that is very new, relatively, people talking about it. But one of the biggest things that I've noticed for myself, and I've been doing a lot of this in the last couple of months, is decluttering. Getting rid of anything that I don't need and anything that I don't use. Because all of that clutter, not only is it physical, it also does something to you mentally. And that is proven, that's a scientific fact now. They've done a lot of studies. So even before you start a business, it may be a good idea to do some decluttering so that you really have some clear space around you. And I'm finding it very helpful. The more I declutter, the more I find that I don't require in my life. And that in fact, it comes down to that question of, how is it serving me?
Exactly.
If it's not serving me, then it needs to go elsewhere,
Right.
And I think that's really important. So I think that's interesting that that's part of your structure or your way of thinking about business.
Because my husband and I, we're separate. I'm getting him moving towards the minimalist, but he is not a minimalist and at all. And so looking at like our closets, when I walk into my closet, I just want something very simple. I don't need a lot of things to take over my mind. I just want to have something easy. That's not where I want to focus my time. Same thing with, I found out that when we moved into our home, that he wanted all these pictures on the wall. And I realized once we put them all up that I couldn't accept that, because it was very cluttery to me.
Right.
I just want a clean space so that I can think. I think more creatively that way. It just opens my mind so much more.
Yeah. So how do people get in contact with you?
So my website is Candice Montgomery online.com, and on social I'm Candice Montgomery Official, except for on Twitter. It's a shortened handle, so it's CM Official. So everything is the same: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay. And I like the idea about the declutter, because I'm like, I can't think when I have a lot of stuff around me. I just can't think. So some people probably call me because I'm always picking up and putting things in place. And my office, at the end of the day, I clean my desk. I put everything, if I'm working on something, that's in a folder, put away. So that way, all I have to do is pull it out the next day and resume back. So I'm really probably anal about having clear space so that I can think, so that I can
That in our
create.
office too, because I noticed when I was not in our air conditioning office a lot, that the staff that's there, my husband included, everybody, they just kind of collect things. And I'm like, okay, we can't have this, because it makes me not want to come in here, because I feel, very claustrophobic.
Right.
So I'm like, I can't think, and I can't work like this. So we need to kind of clear these things out. And I think what happens with a lot of people is you just collect things over time.
Yes.
And if you're not constantly purging, if you're not constantly looking at what you don't need, then you're just going to build up all of this. And we did that in our home, and we did that here. And so we've gotten rid of a lot. I still need to get rid of more things, but I have a lot of it gone.
Yeah, I do a lot of purging. We've got a Goodwill store that's a drive-through. So I will bag up everything and then put it in the trunk and go through the drive-through. And I do that on a periodic basis because if I haven't used it in a year or so, then I don't need it.
Right.
I just
even less time than that, really.
Right, exactly. But twice a year, I go through the entire house and purge.
What I think many people find is that, I don't know, I've done it, I'll clean up my mess, because all the junk mail that comes in is just the biggest hindrance to life. If I could figure out how to use my junk mail to make money, I'd be wealthy. But once I really clear up and everything's looking lovely, within a couple of weeks, it's like there's another whole layer that surfaces. It comes to the surface. And it's like, where is all this stuff coming from? And so I'm very conscious of what I bring into the house. And very often, if I bring in something new, something else has to go. It's just, right. Especially if it's the same thing, like comforters or something like that. Bringing another one in, something has to go, And I think that's important in business as well. You just look at all the stuff that comes into you from different products, manufacturers, information, and after a while, it can get to be a lot. And if you have to pile through that every day, it makes life difficult.
You can't get through it. You can't get through all that. Going back to the junk mail, there is an app called Paper Karma, and you can take a picture of the envelope when it comes in, and then you send it to them, and they will get you off of the mailing list. I used to years and years and years ago, I would write letters and I would say, okay, I want y'all to take me off your list.
And they never do.
They never do. But this app has been really great. I have had to, I now have my mom's mail. My father passed away in 2019. And so I started taking care of my mom, who has dementia. And so I have her mail, his mail, my daughter's mail, all these people's mail. I'm like, okay, this can't come to my house. This has got to stop.
Right. So Paper Karma, that's what it's called?
Paper Karma, yes. And that's what I was going to say too, about when you're thinking about that with business, you never want to put your personal home address or your home phone number, as a business contact, even if you haven't started, because you will never get rid of
the
that.
junk.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a PO. I have actually a UPS box that I use, and everything in the business is to that address. And I just clean the box out, and pretty much everything goes in the trash. When I go pay the bill, I go clean the box out at that time, because I don't want to, not only that, I don't want people having my home address.
Right.
Because this is my home. So I don't want people having that.
Yeah. And they sometimes can find it too, because I've received some things that like in the beginning, it was that, that was like, okay, well, we didn't use our address, but we used a PO box. But but in the beginning, everything was really still personal. This was, in the 90s. So, but I've received something at home for my second business that I never had anything of my personal information related to this business. So I'm not really sure how that.
Well, unfortunately, what happens, when you create an entity, LLC or whatever, they sell your information. Mm-hmm. So that's how a lot of people get your information, because when you are creating entities and things like that, like I'm working on a trademark.
Oh yeah, I'm just
after I submitted the application. Well, I got an email from somebody, so they automatically, and to me that's wrong. Mm-hmm. But they automatically share your information with other companies.
Right.
But anyway, again, this has been awesome to talk with you, Candice, and I love what you're doing, because it's important, because everybody starting a business is a scary thing. It's an emotional ride. It's a lot of things.
And there's sometimes you just want to crawl underneath your desk and cry.
Yes. And I've been there many times. Yeah. Many times.
Sometimes you just want to quit. But
yes, I've been there many times. But I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe that it will work. I believe that, yes, and I believe in myself. So thank you so much, Candice, for your wisdom. And congratulations on being debt-free.
Thank you so much.
I'm still working on that in my personal, in my business. I don't have bills. I don't have loans and things like that. Everything is cash. But in my personal life, I got enough, but I'm working on that as well. So that way I'm financially free.
Yes, I love it. I mean, it's still kind of surreal sometimes, but I mean, our final one was for a business, a business thing, and it was in July, and I was like, that's it. So we all three of our businesses are debt free, and our personal life is debt free, and now it's like, okay, we can start really kind of planning what our exit strategy is going to be, what we're going to do, retirement, all that stuff. So
yes.
Great.
Wow. Well, this has been great. You've been a pleasure to talk with.
Thank you.
We are so happy that our podcast was your first. So
yes.
Thank you so much.
I'm so nervous, and y'all made it so easy for me. So thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.